Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Body Swapping Stories YouTube channel. Please subscribe to get notifications when new stories come out. Let us know in the comments below of what you think of this story. Enjoy!
What would you do if you died because your guardian angel wasn't paying attention? What if they offered you a second chance, but it meant living someone else's life completely? Would you take it, even if it meant becoming someone you never expected to be? My name is Alex, and 3 days ago, I was a completely different person. Literally. I was walking home from work on a Tuesday evening, same route I'd taken hundreds of times before. Nothing special about the day, just another mundane office job, another boring commute home. I was probably thinking about what to have for dinner or whether I should finally call my ex back. Then I stepped into the crosswalk. The truck came out of nowhere. Well, not nowhere. It came from my left, running a red light at probably 50 miles per hour. But in that split second when I saw it bearing down on me, it might as well have materialized from thin air. Time did that weird thing you hear about in movies. Everything slowed down. I could see the driver's face through the windshield, eyes wide with horror, mouth open in a silent scream. I could see my own reflection in the truck's chrome bumper. I could feel my feet trying to move, but knowing it was already too late. The impact didn't hurt. That's the strangest part. I felt myself flying through the air, felt my body hit the pavement, but there was no pain. Just a weird floating sensation, like I was watching it happen to someone else. Then darkness. Complete, absolute darkness. When I opened my eyes again, I was standing in what I can only describe as an endless white space. No walls, no ceiling, no floor that I could see, just white in every direction. No shadows, no light source, just this soft, even illumination that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. I stood there for what felt like hours, trying to figure out where I was when the voices started. I am deeply sorry. The words seemed to come from everywhere at once, not spoken aloud, but somehow directly into my consciousness. Soft, soothing, completely genderless. There has been an error. Who are you? I called out to the empty space. Where am I? I am your guardian, your protector, and we have failed you. My guardian angel? The concept felt ridiculous even as I said it. You were not meant to die today, Alex. Your time had not come. We were distracted. For just a moment, our attention wandered, and in that moment, you stepped into the street. The anger hit me like a physical blow. You're telling me I'm dead because you weren't paying attention? Yes. The simple admission somehow made it worse. No excuses, no explanations, just a flat acknowledgement that my life had ended because of celestial negligence. Well, fix it, I shouted into the void. Put me back, undo this. I cannot. Your body was too severely damaged in the collision. The physical vessel that was Alex is beyond repair.
My legs gave out. I found myself sitting on what felt like solid ground, even though I couldn't see any surface beneath me. However, the voice continued, I have found an alternative. What kind of alternative? While you have been here, we searched for a suitable replacement, a body whose original occupant is, departing. I have found one. A young woman in a family home, about to have a sudden, unexplained stroke. It is her time, but her body will still be an empty vessel until it dies. I can put you inside that body immediately after her soul leaves. This will prevent the stroke as if nothing happened. You want me to steal someone's body? Not steal. Replace. Her consciousness has already moved on. The vessel would otherwise perish. This way, both you and the physical form can continue. I stared into the endless white, trying to process what I was hearing. And if I say no, then your consciousness will fade and you will truly cease to exist, as will I for my failure in protecting you. So I don't really have a choice. There is always a choice, but the consequences of refusal are final. I don't know how long I sat there thinking about it. Time seemed meaningless in that place. Eventually, I looked up at the empty space around me. What would I need to know about this person, this life I'd be taking over? Her name is Claire Morgan. She is 26 years old, holds a degree in sales. She is married to a man named Daniel and has recently given birth to a daughter named Mia. She is currently on maternity leave. The words hit me like another truck. She has a baby? Yes, you would be assuming all aspects of her life, including her role as a mother. I don't know anything about being a mother. I don't know anything about being a woman. Some instincts and memories will gradually surface. The body retains certain knowledge, certain responses. While your consciousness remains your own, you will find yourself naturally adapting to some aspects of her existence. This is insane. Perhaps, but it is the only path forward. I closed my eyes, though it made no difference in the featureless space. My old life was gone. There was no going back to that. The alternative was, what? Nothingness? If I do this, will I remember? Will I remember being Alex? Yes, but the memory of our conversation will fade, and eventually, you will feel as though you have always belonged in this new life. It is necessary for your mental stability. Your memories as Alex will still, however, remain. And no one will know? Her husband? Her family? They'll think I'm really her? They will see Claire. They will interact with Claire. To them, nothing will have changed. I sat in that white void for what felt like hours, weighing impossible choices. Finally, I spoke. Okay, I'll do it. I am grateful for your understanding, Alex, and again, deeply sorry for my failure. The white space began to dim around me. Wait, I called out. What happens now? But the voice was already fading and darkness was closing in again. When I woke up the second time, everything was different. I was lying in a real bed, in a real room, with real walls and real furniture. Soft sheets covered my body, and I could smell something floral, maybe perfume or fabric softener. Everything felt warm and lived in, and completely foreign.
I sat up slowly and immediately knew something was wrong. The weight distribution was different. My center of gravity had shifted, and there was a weight on my chest that definitely hadn't been there before. I looked down and my heart stopped. Breasts. Real, actual breasts pushing against the fabric of a soft cotton nightgown. My hands flew to my chest, and I could feel them, warm and real, and definitely attached to my body. The transition is complete. The voice was back, but fainter now, like it was speaking from a great distance. I touched my face with shaking hands. The bone structure was different. Smaller jaw, higher cheekbones. My hair was longer, falling past my shoulders in waves. Over time, you will develop some emotional responses and instincts from Claire's body. Maternal behaviors, muscle memory, hormonal responses. These will surface naturally. However, your core personality and memories remain your own. How long will I remember this conversation? My voice came out higher, softer, a woman's voice. The memory will fade gradually.
In time, you will feel as though you have always been Claire. This is necessary for your psychological well-being. And everyone will think I'm her? To them, you are her. There's no difference. The voice was growing fainter. I must go now. I am sorry again for the error that led to this necessity. Try to find happiness in this new existence. Wait, I have more questions! But the presence was gone. I could feel its absence like a sudden chill in the room. I sat in the dim bedroom trying to process everything that had happened. Then I heard it. A soft, stirring sound from somewhere nearby. A small whimper that gradually grew louder. Baby sounds. I turned toward the noise and saw a crib pushed against the far wall of the bedroom. Inside it, something small was starting to move around. That's when I noticed the figure sleeping beside me in the bed. A man with brown hair and a face I'd never seen before, breathing deeply in sleep. Daniel, presumably. My husband, according to the angel. The baby sounds grew more insistent. Little cries that pulled at something deep in my chest, something that felt instinctive and urgent, even though I had no idea what to do about it. Daniel stirred, opening his eyes. When he saw me sitting up, he smiled sleepily. Hey, honey, I guess our princess is hungry, and this is most obviously your job. He said it with such casual familiarity, like we'd had this conversation 100 times before, like I was his wife who'd just given birth 3 months ago, like this was completely normal. I stared at him, then at the crib where the crying was getting louder, then down at my body in the nightgown. The reality of the situation crashed over me at once. I was a woman. I was married to a man I'd never met. I was a mother to a baby I'd never seen before. Everyone expected me to know how to handle this, to be someone I'd never been. The room started spinning. The last thing I remember before everything went black was Daniel's concerned voice calling, "Claire! Claire, are you okay?"
When I came to, Daniel was gently shaking my shoulder, worry written across his face. "Hey, take it easy," he said softly. "You just fainted. Are you feeling all right?" The baby was still crying, but the sound seemed more distant now. I'm fine," I managed, though my voice sounded strange to my own ears. "Just tired." "Just rest, babe. I've got her," Daniel said, moving toward the crib. "You've been so exhausted lately. I should have been getting up more often." I watched him lift a tiny bundle from the crib, a baby girl with dark hair and round cheeks, wearing a pink sleeper. Mia, my daughter, supposedly. "Daddy's here," he cooed to her as he carried her out of the room. "Let's get you a bottle and let Mommy rest." Mommy? He was talking about me? When their voices faded down the hallway, I was finally alone. I sat up carefully, still feeling dizzy, and looked around the room properly for the first time. It was clearly a couple's bedroom. 2 nightstands, 2 sets of clothes in the open closet, family photos on the dresser. The photos showed a happy couple, and in the more recent ones, the same couple with a newborn baby. The woman in the photos had my face now. Claire's face. My face. I stood up slowly and walked to the full-length mirror attached to the back of the closet door. The person looking back at me was a complete stranger, yet somehow it was me now. I pulled off the nightgown, needing to see the full extent of what had happened to me. The body in the mirror was unmistakably female. Curves where I'd never had them, softness where I'd been angular. Breasts that were fuller than I would have expected, probably from recent pregnancy and nursing. Hips that were wider than my shoulders. Everything was different. I ran my hands through my hair, longer than I had ever worn it, with a natural wave I had never had. My face was rounder, more delicate.
Even my hands looked different, smaller with longer fingers and painted nails. I stared at this new reflection for several minutes, trying to reconcile it with my sense of self. This was my body now. This was who I was, at least physically. "What the heck is this?" I muttered, and even that simple phrase sounded strange in my new voice. The sound of running water from down the hall reminded me that Daniel was still here, still taking care of the baby, still expecting me to be his wife when he came back. I needed to pull myself together. I grabbed a robe from a hook on the bathroom door and wrapped it around myself, then sat on the edge of the bed to think. I had to figure out how to be Claire, at least for now. Until I could make sense of all this, I needed to convince everyone that nothing had changed. The bathroom was clearly shared, men's and women's toiletries side by side on the counter. I decided to take a bath, hoping the warm water might help me think more clearly. The tub filled slowly with hot water. I added some bubble bath from a bottle on the edge of the tub, something lavender scented that must have been Claire's. When I lowered myself into the water, the warmth was immediately soothing. But feeling this body in the water was strange. Everything floated differently. My chest felt buoyant in a way I wasn't used to. The curves of my hips and thighs took up space in the tub differently than my old body would have. I leaned back and closed my eyes, trying to process everything. Yesterday, I was Alex, a single guy with a boring office job and no major responsibilities. Today, I was Claire, a wife and mother with a completely different life, different relationships, different expectations.
How was I supposed to know how to be a mother? How was I supposed to be married to someone I'd never met? How was I supposed to live as a woman when I'd spent my entire life as a man? I must have dozed off in the tub because the next thing I knew, the water had gone lukewarm and I could hear Daniel moving around in the bedroom. "Claire, you okay in there?" he called through the door. I'm fine," I called back quickly, "just soaking for a bit." "Okay." Mia's fed and back down for her nap. I'm going to take her over to my mom's for a few hours so you can rest properly. That sounds good, I said, relieved to have some time alone to figure things out. After I heard them leave, I got out of the tub and dried off with a fluffy pink towel. Then came the challenge of getting dressed. Claire's underwear drawer was full of things I'd never worn. Bras in various styles, panties in different cuts and colors. I grabbed what looked like the most basic set and struggled to figure out how the bra worked. It took several attempts to get the clasp fastened behind my back. The sensation of wearing a bra was completely foreign. The weight of my breasts felt supported but constrained. Everything about it reminded me that this body wasn't naturally mine. I found some comfortable clothes, yoga pants and a soft sweater, and got dressed. Then I started exploring the apartment, trying to understand the life I'd inherited. The living room was cozy, with photos everywhere showing Claire and Daniel's relationship progressing over time. Dating photos, engagement pictures, wedding shots, and recent photos with baby Mia. Looking at them felt like looking at someone else's life, which I suppose it was. In the bedroom, I found Claire's wardrobe, professional clothes for her marketing job, casual wear, and some dressier outfits. There were also some clothes that were clearly meant to be attractive. Tight dresses, low-tut tops, lingerie I hadn't noticed in the underwear drawer. Out of sheer disbelief, I tried on one of the dresses, a black number that hugged every curve and showed more cleavage than I was comfortable with. Looking at myself in the mirror wearing it was surreal. "You've got to be kidding me," I said to my reflection. The woman in the mirror looked confident and attractive in the dress, but inside I felt like I was playing dress-up in someone else's clothes, which I suppose I was. I was still wearing the dress when the phone rang. For a moment, I panicked. What if it was someone who knew Claire well? What if they could tell something was wrong? I answered hesitantly, "Hello?" "Hi, sweetheart." The voice was warm and maternal.
It's Mom. How are you feeling today? Mom, Claire's mother. I had no idea what their relationship was like, what they usually talked about, whether Claire was close to her family. I'm okay, I said, carefully, still a bit tired. Of course you are, honey. You're still recovering, and taking care of a newborn is exhausting. Are you getting enough help from Daniel? Yes, he's been great, I said, hoping that was true. Good. And how's little Mia doing? Is she sleeping through the night yet? She's doing well, I said, though I honestly had no idea. Still working on the sleeping thing. It'll get better, sweetheart. You're doing such a wonderful job. I'm so proud of how you've taken to motherhood. The words hit me strangely. This woman was talking about maternal instincts and natural abilities that I definitely didn't have. She was proud of me for something I'd never actually done. Thanks, Mom, I said, the word feeling odd in my mouth. Well, I won't keep you long. I know you need your rest. Give my granddaughter a kiss from Grandma and call me if you need anything. I will. Love you too. After I hung up, I sat on the couch in silence, still wearing the black dress, trying to process what had just happened. I just had a conversation with a woman who thought I was her daughter. She talked about my mothering skills, about how proud she was of me. She'd called a baby my granddaughter when talking to me. The weight of what I'd taken on was starting to sink in. This wasn't just about learning to live in a different body. I'd inherited an entire life, complete with relationships, responsibilities, and expectations. People who loved Claire, who depended on her, who had no idea she was gone. I looked around the apartment at the family photos, the baby toys scattered on the coffee table, the thank you cards from the baby shower stuck to the refrigerator. This was someone's real life, someone's home, someone's family, someone's entire world. And now it was mine. Thank you for listening. We are thinking of making a part 2 for this story, but we want to hear your opinions this time. Please let us know of these 2 routes would you want to go through. 1, happy family ending, or 2, selfish, corrupted Claire ending. Comment your choice down below in the comment section. We will wait for 7 days after this video's posting to wait for everyone's opinion.